What are we getting into?
We're going to be talking about explaining your role. Now, just to understand where we both come from. So I had a child at the age of 26. Yeah, 26.
Why are you still guessing on this?
I don't know, because I'm like doing the math in my head. I'm like,
what math is there to do?
I don't know, because she's born in 2016, 2018. Doing the math, I'm like, okay, cool, 26. Yeah, 26. Anyways, all I keep saying is like, I knew I graduated outside of college, and bam.
Must be nice. I have the dates, the time, everything etched into my memory.
Same here, player. Same here.
There's nothing to forget. There's nothing to guess.
Yeah.
May 14th, 2008, 5:46.
You'd have to put that. You didn't have to explain. Wait, May 14th, 2008?
Yes. May 14th.
Right when I graduated. Or right in the midst of graduation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
I walked June 2nd. So yeah.
You didn't have to put your daughter's birthday out there, but okay.
I mean, it is what it is. It's etched. She knows it. I know it.
I know, but the audience don't have to really know. Anyway, so that's
y'all want to give her gifts. Coming up next year, she'll be 11. Do the math.
So yeah, we both had a child at a wedlock, and I mean, not trying to make it sound like it's a bad thing. We just had a child, and we consider it as a blessing, not a mistake. So let's just get that straight. But we had our child, we had a whole lot of things that we need to understand. And so one thing's for sure is that we need to understand, like, for me, like, I had a whole bunch of cultural differences. And one thing's for sure is that, like, within my culture, I was raised in a Christian household. So therefore, everybody was like, you need to follow the rules and regulations that's set by the Bible. You need to get married first, have a child, and so on and so forth. And therefore, that is the correct way to go about living life.
Yeah, family standards, pretty much.
And quite frankly, like, there are some men out there who doesn't follow that protocol, and then we're faced with this, with some type of, like, we're ignored and we're kind of like shoved to the side, and we really don't, people don't really care about, like, oh, okay, well, he's a single father. I mean, this is my approach on it. Not saying that this happens for everybody, but this was just the approach that I've always seen with single fathers, where we're kind of like just tossed aside and looked upon in a different way because we didn't follow the traditional rules.
It's a weird area. Essentially, for most people who grow up in dual parent households, like myself and Zach, to have a child early, like I had mine at 17, or to have a child out of wedlock, you're breaking the family code. Your parents essentially set example. They taught you one way, especially if you have siblings and you're older, you're set to be the example. And then you go out and you make this decision, and you become the anomaly. Now you're outlier.
Yeah.
Like,
and now you're a statistic too as well.
Yeah,
which
and
is also,
now you're a statistic. So yeah, your family has to learn how to react to it. You have to learn how to react to it. And I think that ties into what we're going to get into today, as far as, okay, when you react to it, we've already talked about new father anxiety, but along with that comes understanding what your role is going to be.
Exactly.
What your role in life was before, and what your role in life is going to be now that you are an impending father, or you already are a father. There's something that has to change.
Yep. And I'll also add on top of that, like, since you already have a child, you can't live the same life like you did before you had a kid. So that means, like, going out, like, partying all the time.
Can't or shouldn't?
Shouldn't. Actually, it's more like you should be more responsible in this manner. Like, you shouldn't be doing things that's obsessive to where it would hinder you as in your fatherhood. You know what I'm saying? So, so to kind of bring that in is just like, if you look at, just for instance, like, let's say you've been doing hardcore drugs, like smoking weed and doing all this other kinds of stuff.
Take it to the extreme.
I mean, okay, maybe that's a little too extreme.
Is this a testimony?
Well, let's just say, like, no. This is not.
You was leaning out?
Let's just say that if you were out there hanging out until like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whatever, right? You can't be doing that every single Friday.
See, you keep on throwing cans out there.
Okay,
So actually can't or shouldn't.
Let me change my phrasing.
Because we grown. I mean, if you're having a child, you're grown at this point.
Yeah. So I'm saying that like change up your routine. Like now, I'm not saying like you can't go out on a Friday night and have a drink with your boys and whatnot. And we'll talk about like, you know, guys' night out one day. But I'm not saying you cannot do that. I'm just saying that like you can't be irresponsible and negligent towards your kid because I want to go out and go hang out with my friends. Like leave it on to the mother to plan out everything for you. Like that's just me. That's just what I feel. So it's just like, you know, like if you're gonna go hang out with your boys, make a plan. Like, all right, guys, you gotta let me know like 24 hours in advance to see if I can make this date. If not, then I can't make it. If I can, cool. Let's go ahead, have a good time, so on and so forth. Blase, blase. You know, so I'm just saying that like you kind of have to switch up your routine to where, I mean, you know, it has to fit the suit of your fatherhood and also what makes you happy the most. So don't fall into that whole idea of social stigma or that issue that everybody's like, oh man, he's just out there just partying all the time. And all I see on social media is like him just like drinking it up and like with these women and everything like that. Oh, and speaking of women, like you're a single father and
this is true.
This is true because we have stayed dedicated all day, every day. So not saying that you gotta like leave your love life behind and say, all right, all is lost or anything like that. We are done with women altogether. So we're just gonna focus mainly on just my child.
I don't think that's ever happened.
That's never gonna happen for any guy. Like hell, it doesn't even happen for any human being on earth. So it's just
some people, but I don't think having a child, they're like, oh, I'm done.
Yeah. No, it's never that way.
I'm done with women at this point.
Yeah. So to kind of wrap this whole thing up, it's just like you gotta understand your role. So whenever you meet new girls, for instance, like you gotta say to them like, hey, look, I have a child up front, you know? And so,
that's debatable.
Okay, maybe like the third date, would you say? Or maybe the second? I don't know.
I say between the first and the second. First date is really for me to get to know the individual. If I don't care after the first date, I don't need to introduce my child into the madness. You don't even need to know. You just need to know about me. Mm-hmm. Granted, my child is as a part of me.
But how is that explaining your role, though? Like, how would you put that into play?
Well, I mean, you said off top, and I was just like, that's a no for me. I'm not giving it up on the first date.
No.
That.
Okay, no, my bad. Let me phrase that. Yeah, I wouldn't give it up on the first day. I'll probably give it in like maybe like the second date, like initially. But that's it. Like after the second date, we gotta, you know, either you in or you out. That's the way it's gonna go for me. So.
Second day, I'm introducing the fact that, okay, I am a parent. I'm a father. Mm-hmm. Clearly, I have some interest. Now we're going on the second date. And so explaining my role that, hey, for me, I'm a single parent. Me and my daughter's mother don't get along. We're not cordial at all. I have a custody agreement. I have my daughter on this, and this date. And when I'm with her, especially while we're dating, it's pretty exclusive. It's me and my daughter, me and Lex. So that's how I've always gone about dating, at least for the initial part of dating, until we get into a relationship. When I have my daughter on the weekends or I have her throughout the week, don't try to look for me. Like that's our time. So that's explaining my role to me when it comes to the early parts of dating. Letting you know I am a father. I take this seriously. I'm not trying to involve my daughter into my dating life unless I know it's serious. So when I have my daughter, I'm gone. I'm MIA. We're perfectly fine. We can kick it any other time, but I lay out the schedule, and you got to fall in or fall out.
Boom.
But I mean, I think it's everyone has different aspects and different takes on it when it comes to knowing your role in dating. Some people do like to be upfront with it and like to intermingle your child. Like for me, having an older child, it would probably be a lot easier. Essentially, I can go out on a date and I can tell my daughter like, hey, I'm going on a date, or like introduce this person real quick.
So when would you introduce your date or the one that you're exclusive with? When would you introduce your daughter to them?
For me, after I made the decision to be exclusive, like we're in a true relationship. I'm really speaking for other other points of view. I'm not one to introduce early on, but some people can. You can be that straightforward and be like, hey, I'm a father through and through. So my daughter, my son, they're a huge part of my life. So if you're going to be interested in talking to me off top, you need to meet them. I need to know that they feel comfortable with you. I need to know how you act, see how you act around kids. If not, we're not even going to make it past the first date, which I can understand. I'm more reserved, so that's not necessarily my MO. But either way, as long as you're establishing, I think the main part of knowing your role is establishing, okay, I'm a father up front.
Right.
Like,
so it all really just begins with you. You know, it all begins with, what are you going to be? Are you going to be the father are you going to be the father or are you going to be the daddy? That's like, I know that sounds very out there, but do you want the entitlement or do you want to actually be,
you might have to go a little deeper into that one.
Oh, okay. So, I mean,
what would you declare the difference?
So the difference is like, do you want to be the father, which is the one who's dedicated all the time to their kid and so on and so forth. And they receive the entitlement of their child of saying to them, hey, daddy, how's it going, daddy? Oh, later, daddy, you know, that kind of thing, you know, or do you just want to be the daddy, which is just like, I'm here on the weekends, you know, I'm the weekend dad and that's all I really do. And I'm just here when you need me and you got my phone number if you need me. But other than that, like leave a message, email me, that kind of thing. So it's just like some fathers, you know, some fathers like it that way. Like sometimes they just want their space and they're just like, hey, I'll just have my daughter. And that's when we talk about child support too. So you can kind of like establish like when should you have your child, when should you not have your child, that kind of thing. But overall, it's just where do you fall on that spectrum? Like, do you want to be the father or do you want to be the daddy?
I don't know. I've never really seen any type of separation like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
because here's the thing is that like I said, some fathers, they're like, for instance, like Amelia's mother, her father is kind of like, I'm just the weekend dad and I'm here when you need me. And so man has never paid his child support.
I mean, does child support tie directly into it as far as your role?
It can be. I mean, but I think like if you were to pay your child support, then that kind of shows that you are putting action to your actual entitlement. Like you're showing that you want to be part of the child's life. I mean, but then again, it might just be like a state mandated thing, which we'll talk about on a different show. But I think, in my opinion, like if you're putting in the effort, then you are considered to be, you are what you are entitled to be.
Can you put in effort without child support?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I am.
I want to make sure we're not necessarily pigeonholing. Okay.
No.
If you don't pay child support and you're not active in your child's life, then.
Like if you communicate the fact that like, look, I am a dad, her father or his father, whatever, I'm going to be there and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. If you need me here, I'll be at the birthdays and all that kinds of stuff. Then it all makes sense. You know, it's just like, okay, he established the fact that he is going to be the father of my child. Now, there's going to be some times when you're going to have a negotiation with the mother of your child, and that's typically it. But overall, it's just like the moment you establish the fact that you're a father, then everything else will kind of fall into place in some form or fashion. Now, not saying it's going to be perfect, but at least you know what your role is. Yeah.
So for me, when it comes time to explain your role, to me, that started from inception. Like we really got to bring it back to it. And then once you find out that you're going to be a father, that's when you have to make the defining moments to plan, what do I want out of this? Like, what road am I going to take? Am I going to be active in this child's life? Am I going to bail out? Am I going to try to take care of the mother and the child? Like, you have to put some hard thought into understanding what you want your role to be. Because in today's society, you do have the option. You can flow either way. One of those three options. It's easy to pick one of the three.
Right.
But I feel like you have to be intentional about it, and that's where you get the best results.
Can you explain to us what those three options are?
I mean, like I said, you could easily, people do it all the time. They find out their father, they go ghost. It's a wrap. I don't want to do it. It's not for me. I don't believe it. Disappear. You're setting up, a fatherless child, but if you don't feel obligated to it, at the end of the day, you're a man, you're going to make that choice. Then there's option, okay, I'm staying in this. I'm going to make it work. I want to take care of my child. So that's when you stick through it and you determine, okay, no matter what, if my child needs me, I'm going to make the sacrifices. I'm going to stay dedicated to it. I'm putting in 110% to make sure I'm the father and my child always knows that I'm there in the life, regardless of the mother. And the third option is, okay, I want to be here for my child and all that, but I also want to make it work with the mother. I want to create a happy household. I want to have a unified experience. It's probably the hardest of the three because due to circumstances at hand, if this is an unplanned pregnancy, you might not have planned on spending your life with this woman. But it's going to take an extreme amount of sacrifice and an extreme amount of prayer in order to make it work. But some people do take that. They'll take it on. It's more the traditional, the old school, old fashioned, essentially, hey, we had a child together. We're going to make this life together. We've already made a life, so we're going to spend the rest of our life together. And we're going to make it work for the best of the child. So those are 3 avenues I see. But you kind of got to determine that role. And sometimes it always doesn't work out that straightforward. You can start off with going with option number 3 and fall back on option number 2. Or you can go from option number 1 and not being involved and you pop back up and then you want to move towards the other options. But you got to know your role. You have to know what you want out of this. For me, I start off with option number 3. I wanted to make it work with the child, for my child.
So active with the mother.
Active with the mother, okay. But reality hits, that doesn't work out.
So you went to option 2.
So what doesn't change within my role is the fact that I'm always going to be here for my child. No matter what. I'm a father. I accept that role willingly and responsibly. So I'm always going to put forward my best effort to make sure my daughter is taken care of. And because I'm so steadfast and rock steady inside that role, in certain situations, I don't waver. Like I've gone through 10 years of turmoil based off my decisions, but no matter what, there's not a moment where you can't say I wasn't there for my child. And I'm going to continue to do that. But if I didn't have that conversation, or if I didn't lay down those ideals, okay, this is what I want to be, and this is what I'm going to stick to, then I could have easily fell off. And the only person who suffers in all of this is always going to be the child. Mm. So if you don't take the time to establish or have those conversations with the mother, have the conversation with your family, have the conversations with friends or people of influence, understand, okay, this is what I want my role to be, and have for everyone else to understand it, and you yourself understand it, then you're going to continuously be unsure of what you are. And then now you have to look at your child who's unsure of what your purpose is because you didn't take the time to define it yourself.
Right. So the way I like what you said right there, either you can be a ghost father, active without the mother, or active with the mother. For me, I would say I first started off with saying, like, I want to be active without the mother. And then, of course, I kind of went the opposite direction that you did. Now I'm like, I want to be active with the mother, where, I do want to make this work. I do want to move on. I do want to, I want what's best for our child. So, and so I'm just clearly just trying to make it all work together. So now I'm at option 3. So I think like what you said is very clear for me. Like, when it comes to like explaining your role to the mother of your child, like you kind of have to, like I said, establish the fact that, hey, for me, like, since I want to be active with the mother, I'm like, all right, here is what I want to do with you. Like, I want to like make things work, like financially, mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever. Like, I want to make all that work out. And then eventually, like, it's like, all right, maybe we want to go ahead and move on to marriage, so take things to the next step. And that's that. So and then talk about like beyond marriage, like what's gonna happen. Like I'm like obviously gonna say like I want to be the father, I want to be like the head of the household, which is an automatic thing already. And you just tell her like, like for me, I just want to say like I want to go ahead and move to another city and accomplish the things I've always wanted to pursue. If she's on board with it, cool. Like, like go for it. Like apply yourself to supply your wealth. and everything will be all straight, you know? So if she's on board with it and you both are in agreement, then cool, you know, but don't be like, I'm just going to just cut her off and be like, no, we're just going to focus on my passions and not hers, you know? So it's good to also listen to what her role is as well, you know? And I'm just saying, like, as far as like, what are her passions?
Be throwing on the cape for all women. I understand you got to, save your situation, but
no, I'm just saying, like, I'm just being real. Like, I care about women, and you just have to understand where they're coming from as well. So that's another whole. That's a whole. Stay
dedicated. This is father's side. This is daddy's side.
My bad. Let me step back off of my podium real quick.
Go to the other side if you want to talk about all that.
I'm going to join the DADicated side. Anyway, so regardless though, like, you still gotta explain, like, look, I am the man of the house. This is what we're going to do, and and this is how we're going to do it together. Obviously, there's some negotiations that's taking place, but I'm not going to go into that. And like I said, what about you, Justin? Like, what would you do as far as explaining it to the mother of your child?
Mine is pretty straightforward throughout with everybody, my relationship with everybody. I let it be known based off the principles that was instilled with me throughout my family and my peers, understanding that I took full responsibility. I took the time in between when I found out Alexia was coming and to the time she came out to really gather myself and determine, okay, this is who I'm going to be. I'm always going to be here. So I had to make that hardcore decision. So even with me and her mother not working out, I still let it be known I'm not going anywhere. We have a child together. I'm going to be at every birthday. I'm going to be at every first day of school. I'm going to be at every type of celebration, or whenever she needs me, if she calls me, I'm coming. Like, my relationship with my daughter isn't going to be dictated by a relationship with her mother. And I want my daughter to know that. So that's pretty much the uncomfortable conversation you have to attempt to have, because no woman really wants to hear that sometimes. In my situation, her mother didn't want to hear all that. She expected, since we broke it off, that we would go our separate ways, and then I would fade out. But that's not me. I knew my role. I'm a father. No, I'm a man of my word. I'm a man of God. I'm not going out like that. So it's more than just a conversation. It follows up with your actions. So my actions have always been to stay there and to be in my daughter's life. So that conversation wasn't really necessary at this point. I'm always going to be there.
Amen. Yeah, for me, like, I'm always going to be there for my kid regardless. Like, I love that child to death. So there's no turning back on this one. But I think, like, for me, like, especially for friends, like, I always had a difficulty explaining things to my friends. Like, as all guys do, like, whenever we're trying to hype ourselves up or make ourselves look bigger in light than what we usually are, usually I like to take the road of, like, all right, well, I'm as good as I say I am. And, like, me being a father, like, I just did not like the idea of just being judged. And so explaining it to my friends was relatively difficult, but, explaining it to my family was even harder. So
talk about it.
Yeah. So Christmas 2015, that was a difficult year for me. And won't get too deep into it, but
not get deep. Let the people know.
This is exclusively for you. And so it begins on a Christmas morning of 2015.
Ooh. Let's get to it.
Basically, my dad put Amelia's mother on blast and just asked a lot of questions that was kind of inappropriate, but I couldn't understand why he was doing it, because simply at that time I did not define my role at the time. and I was still under the tutelage of this whole idea that like I'm still kind of a kid.
Okay,
like,
so yeah, let's talk about before you establish a role. What happens in situations where your role isn't established and someone establishes it for you?
Yeah. So the moment that somebody else establishes it for you, it's just like you're just a kid. You're just a mindless kid who just happens to do a stupid thing, and you cannot figure out what role you want to play in this part, like, and if you don't figure that out, then somebody else will define it for you. And in this case, it was my dad. And so he took the initiative of like, well, I think this is what I think you need to do. This is how you need to take action on this kind of thing. And, if you want to get married and everything. But obviously it wasn't a very genuine thing where he wanted me to get married to Millie's mother. But, but regardless of the fact, it's a very daunting thing, and it can be relatively embarrassing, and it can be a very cowardly. It can make you look smaller than what you appear.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it sounds like a sad story.
Yeah. But I mean, it was just horrible. And the sad part about it was, it's just like everybody who was around that area, like, so my brother and his wife and kids and my sisters were here. They were listening to the conversation, and they were like, Zach, you should have said something. I'm like, yeah, I could have, but I gave some form of excuse, which is not reasonable whatsoever. But the whole point of this whole thing is that, like, look, guys, like, right when you find out that you are having a child, you have to define, like, and we'll say this over and over again throughout the show, that you have to understand what your role is, and you must define it immediately, or else somebody else, like that you don't want to be involved, like that you don't want to defy who you are as a person, which is not great, can override your own thinking, and it can create more chaos and more problems than what you have right now. Like, and so as I said before, define yourself first. What do you want to be? Do you want to be the ghost father? Do you want to be the active father with the mother or without the mother? Make a choice, and then make the correct plans and motions and actions that will take place after that. For me, like, after that took place, after that transpired, then I decided to, like, all right, for me, it was always the financial part of everything. So it was like, how am I going to take care of this kid financially? So I had to open up like an Excel spreadsheet and just break it all down. Like, how much is this child going to cost? Daycare, diapers, formula.
I'm glad you touched on that, because I mean, another thing that we haven't really got into as far as like with your roles, we're talking more like verbally or like mentally trying to establish a role. But in order to do that, you have to take real action.
Right.
So stuff like that, like coming up with a plan, that's showing you leading into, okay, this is what I want to do. If you don't take any action, then someone's going to take action for you.
Yep.
In your situation, it seemed like your pops took action, but I'm pretty sure situations where the mother of the child takes action. Like, if you can't make up your mind, then I don't want you to be in this, or I'm bringing you along with me. Like, you're going to take care of your child. There's certain situations like that. If the mother is the dominant person and you happen to be in a relationship, okay, you're going to be here. Okay, you know what? We have a child together. We're getting married. Like, sometimes that situation happens, but that's why it is important, and we'll keep on harping on the same idea that becoming a father, young or old, you need to lean on your morals, your understandings, do some research, and formulate who you want to be for yourself and for your impending child, or your existing child. And the roles can always be switched. You can always change your role, but let's make sure that you're the one changing your role and not someone else changing the role for you.
Yeah. Take control of this, guys. This is your child. This is your offspring. You have to take control of everything, because here's the thing: survival of the fittest. And whoever is the most dominant one in your life, who's relatively close to you, like a relative or something like that, they will take over. There is no doubt about that, until you actually make the decision that, hey, I'm going to go ahead and be a father. Then it's all good. Now let's take, for instance, like, you go up into a store, right? You're with your kid, just enjoying a normal day like any other thing, like any other father does. And they ask you this, who who's this? I'm not gonna say this, but like, is this your daughter or is this your son? And then you answer.
Oh, you're talking about the nosy people?
The nosy people.
People who like just be in your business.
You know who I'm talking about.
See, I don't get as much of those as I used to. I feel like I just get the looks and stares and then the small comments. But I mean, of course, when Lexi was younger and myself being younger, people would be in awe or just shocked. Okay, oh, this is your daughter. Oh, I thought it was your little sister.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that's one I kind of learned to establish certain looks, certain ways of dressing, to really establish who I am. And so there's no level of confusion. Granted, I'm not the most friendly of people, so I don't like for people to come and question me regardless of the situation.
Right.
But now by taking these other steps and really doubling down on my fatherly instincts, now I've kind of reduced the fact that, okay, there's no question who I am when it comes to my daughter. It's always weird for strangers to kind of impart their opinion in those situations when it comes to especially single young black males and their children, because I feel like they always want to think the worst. They want to think that possibly we're getting government assistance, that we had this baby out of wedlock and we're just out here leeching and just trying to like scrape to survive. But there's plenty of young males and young fathers who are doing the right thing and should be respected as such. So people kind of need to learn how to mind their own business. But there are some methods to kind of adjust people's way of thinking. Like I said, I started changing the way I dress. I started changing how I would carry Alexia and the different tones I would use. So it would kind of reduce and alleviate some of the anxiety of people kind of just walking around judging and making their assumptions.
Yeah. I guess for me, it was like, since my child is a mixed baby, and my skin complexion is a little bit darker, that's whenever some form of racism was to come into play. And I mean, it's relatively light. What am I saying? There's no such thing as light racism, but it was just the notion I was getting from that random person was like, hey, your child is lighter than you, so why are they lighter than you? And so, or did you adopt this child?
That's disrespectful.
It is very disrespectful. But I mean, it's just like, and it irritates me because here's the thing: is that I have identity issues. Like as far as like
that
my
could have
race,
been your trigger.
Yeah, that would have been my trigger, right? That is my trigger in a sense. But it's just like when
did you go off?
No, I didn't go off. No, come on. I wanted to though. But no, I didn't.
But then you would have been an angry black man.
I would have been the angry black man on the 5 o'clock news. Angry black man at the store today slapped a white woman. Da, 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 da. Yeah. Charges have been like, I can't deal with that.
Hey, sometimes it has to be done.
No, it's not going to be done like that. I'm going to do it the nonviolent way and, bring justice through civil rights.
I guess you want to be Martin over Malcolm.
Yeah. What, you trying to be Malcolm over Martin?
I mean, sometimes disrespect is disrespect.
You right.
Mind your business.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you step into my world, you liable to get hurt.
Side note, let me tell you something real quick. So this lady at my job, she said to me, you look just like my son. Keep in mind, this lady is a white woman. So I'm like, okay. I appreciate that.
Why are you talking?
I'm like, it's like, you look just like my son. Because my son's name, too, is also Zach. I'm like, oh, that's nice to know. All right, let's move on.
Snap.
That's what's up. Thank you for choosing a great name. All right, let's have a good day now. And then she decided to spit these words like, like you're just a little, like, couple shades darker and your eyes a little bit more chinkier. I'm like, oh.
White people are problematic.
Too far. Too far. Too far.
They don't have any filter until they get popped in their mouth or they get charged up. And then they want to keep their racism at home.
And I was looking at other black people like, hey, you gonna help me out here? Come on now. Like,
nah, you gotta hold it down. You gotta be the example.
See, and that's whenever I get fired at my job because I'm the angry black man again.
Bring it up to HR. Y'all have a diversity training, and then
all that will be squared away.
Yeah.
It's not like she's gonna come back.
I say start checking white people.
That's not what we advocate here.
I advocate it. White people, mind your business.
What we're advocating for is staying dedicated. That's what we advocate for. We advocate for fathers.
I'm gonna stay dedicated and check these white people. Enough is enough. Leave me alone.
Nah, you don't have to leave me alone because I'm definitely gonna chin check you. But anyways,
nobody know if we have an issue with the white kid walking around with the barefoot baby, we'll say something about it. Ain't no murmurs about it. Put some shoes on your baby.
I'm just gonna let social media take over and just say, hey, you know, we're gonna go ahead and just meme this, you know. But maybe not. We won't do that because you won't get famous.
I'm not trying to be a meme.
But I'm just saying, like, you know, that lady kind of like said something like on the side of her mouth. I'm like, come on, like, you know, I can say something about this, and I did. You know, so we might have a diversity meeting about it later on. But I was like, lady, like, you don't need to, like, you could have just said, you look like my son. Okay, cool. That's it.
Nah, they always got to make that last comment.
What's that term called? Backhanded compliments?
Yeah.
Reverse racism? Something like that along the lines?
It's backhanded compliments. They try to give you a compliment, but it's really like has an undertone to it.
Yeah. And I'm like, thanks, lady. Nah, I just don't want to be around you anymore. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I thought you were cool, but you just lost.
Don't trust them.
You just lost some cool points with me. Anyways, moving on. So I was saying that identity issue was like a big deal, especially since I'm like, you know, I'm like African and Filipino, and both cultures are relatively, they're definitely geared towards their own traditions. Now, and it's just like, since I had an issue with that, like trying to figure out like which side do I fit more with, like the Africans or the Filipinos? Now, when I try each group, it's just like Filipinos say I'm too dark. Yeah, Africans say I'm
double minorities.
Yeah,
so.
I'm a diamond. Yeah, and it's just like they don't accept me for who I am. And I'm like, what the hell? So it's just, and I'm not trying to get all mushy on you, but I'm just saying, I'm saying all this because I'm saying all this because there are some fathers out there who are biracial. And I just feel that like you should not let that thing right there be your excuse. You should not let yourself say, oh, I'm a black man in America and I'm always going to be viewed as a angry black man in America, which is what you said. And you shouldn't use that like, I don't think I'm fit to be a father. Because
it's not too late. I mean, I get what you're saying. That is an easy cop out, but
yeah, but I'm just saying that
it wasn't fit before you end up smashing. So
I mean, she liked she liked my curls and my mahogany skin and everything else. Don't get jealous, Justin, because mine was better. Anyway, so the last thing, or a couple things that we're going to talk about is like, what about the mothers who are married to another man, and you happen to, you know, how do you explain your role with that guy? Like, so
is it really necessary? I beg the question.
Is it really necessary?
Is it really necessary?
Depends on the situation, though. Like, how good is y'all's relationship?
If you don't have a relationship at all.
If you don't have a relationship at all, there's really no point. You just like, then it goes back to the whole idea of like, I take care of my kid my way and you take care of our kid another way. It's just simple as that, you know. But I just want it, in my opinion, I would want it to be an even, like, if like for me, it felt like I'm really cool with Amelia's mother. So there's no doubt about the fact that like, I still want to like talk to the guy in a civil way, like, hey, look, this is my kid. And
you want a big, happy family.
I mean, doesn't everybody?
I don't think that's as realistic.
But I mean, it's not impossible.
It's definitely not impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, for more times than not, if the mother of your child is embarked in another relationship, you're not going to be as equally yoked as the husband. The baby daddy and the husband aren't going to be on equal terms.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be a big, you can make it seem like a happy family for the sake of the child. I get that all day, but do I need to be best friends or do I need to be cordial with the other guy?
I don't think you should be best friends with the guy. Like he's not. I don't think he's meant to be like your best friend. It's just like bro respect. Like guys respect. Like the code between two guys. Like
I don't like him.
Okay, if you don't like them, then you don't like them. But I'm just saying, in my case, like if you can get to that possible situation where it could be one big happy family, then that's fine. Like, but
so who has the conversation first?
Who has the conversation
first? Who brings
first?
it up? Does the newcomer step to you and say, "Hey, how do you want to go about this?" Or do you have to always step to them? Play it out. What's happening?
I would say, because clearly the guy knows that the woman has a child with you. So I think he should be the one that should make that move.
Really?
Yeah. I think because eventually he's going to be like, look, dude, I'm going to be marrying this girl. I just want you to understand that I'm going
You're finding the most respectful people ever.
But in a legitimate scenario, nothing would really take place. It's just more of like nobody, like you're not going to talk to the father.
Yes.
Or you're not going to talk to her husband about y'all's kid. Right.
Exactly. So that was my point. Is this even necessary?
Yeah. It's nice to establish that idea, but if it doesn't get there, then it doesn't get there. But if you can strive to get to that idea, then that'd be great, in my opinion. You could talk about you could touch and go and be done. And
I would say touch and go and be done at best. But if not, sounds like hopes
because
and
I
dreams.
say this because it's like I wouldn't want my kid to come back to me and be like, well, I don't know, Jeff. Sorry.
Oh, Jeff again.
I'm sorry.
Jeff strikes again.
Jeff is on my mind. No homo. But I'm just saying that if he came to me and said, hey, look, I'm dating your girl, then I'm cool with that.
Dang, that was your homie too.
I know. No.
Now you're dating your girl? Yikes.
Oh, man. That'd be horrible, though.
That's what's happening right now.
Even if E-Man wants to date my girl, I'll be like, I don't know if I feel.
That's what's happening.
Yeah, you're right. Anyways, let's just say Joe. Just to keep.
No, it's still Jeff.
No. Okay. So, if it was Jeff and you don't have a good relationship with the mother, then by all means, just say all right, this is what we are. Now, I was saying that if the daughter comes to me and says well, Jeff told me this is cool to do, and I'm like, no, this is what you're not going to do.
That comes down to your relationship with your child, though.
Yeah.
So that aside,
right?
Just it depends on age. Some at certain younger ages, children are more influenced.
Yeah.
So, yeah, your relationship might not necessarily be as strong or as standard as you would want it to be.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with a 4 or 5 year old, you tell them not to do something, and somebody else tells them they can do it. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be confusing to them.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying as long as we come to some type of legitimate action when it comes to discipline, then I'm cool with that. But there should be some form of understanding that whenever you're disciplining this child, it's common sense that this is the way you go. So
common sense ain't common.
Yeah, it's not always common to everybody else.
This just sounds like a messy road to me. But I get it.
But I think there might be a light at the end of the tunnel.
There's definitely a light, but you gotta make it there.
Yeah,
a lot of obstacles.
Yeah, there's a lot of obstacles. It just depends on your situation, altogether. So, just going back to what you said, ghosts, active with the mother, active without the mother. That's what it really is. So, if you're active with the mother, then there's really no guy involved, unless you're trying to, be that perfect. We're here for our kid, go to our soccer games and all that jazz, and that's pretty much it. But I just say, try to explain your role to that guy. I am the father. This is who I am. If you want to play your part, cool. If you don't, I understand. But if you don't even talk, that's perfectly fine. As long as you, it comes down, the main person that should be explained to of your role is the child.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Because at the end of the day, it does not matter whether if you establish some type of common ground with the man who is married to the mother. It does not matter. The main thing here is that it's the child that you explain the role to. And so that should, you should put into play like discipline. Like, I'm going to, like same thing that we said to everybody else. Like, I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to be at your soccer games. I'm going to, like all that kind of stuff. And so that way they know, or for us, it's like she knows that I'm there. Like, my dad is there for me all the time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the relationship with you and your child, I mean, as they grow older, to really understand and take in what you want your role to be. And that's really the embodiment of that time from inception. It's like, okay, I've been working and I've been practicing to get to this point. Whenever your child understands it, that's when it kind of comes into fruition. So that's why it's so important to start so young and to kind of have those thoughts and to put the actions behind it. Because once your child understands it, your child understands it. So now with my daughter being 10, like me putting in all the time, all leading up to it, she understands that, hey, I'm the one who brought her into this world. I'm the one who's always going to be here. Yes, she has a stepfather, but that's exactly just what he is. He's a stepfather. Any decision making comes between me and her mother. So just to piggyback on the last topic, essentially, as far as, I'm not an advocate for having conversations with stepfathers. It can go good or it can go bad. I don't necessarily need to make that gamble. My only relationship, my only tangent essentially is with the mother. Anything I need to go through, anything outside of that becomes messy. But the only person I have a direct line to is going to be the child's mother. Because we have a child together, there's certain things that we have to discuss and certain things that we have to see eye to eye or don't see eye to eye. But anybody outside of that situation, grandparents, aunts and uncles, step parents, nah, I don't necessarily care for any of that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yes.
But also, I mean, once you have that conversation with your child and they understand that you don't care for all that either, then I feel like everybody becomes on one accord. Like your child has to understand, okay, you're gonna be there, and you either know your role, so you could be a disciplinarian, you could be a supportive one.
Why not all of them?
Well, I'm saying, like, your child understands who you are to them, so no one else can replace that. But that's the whole purpose of this, is understanding what that role is, what parts you want to play. If you want to play all of them, great. If you only want to play a couple of them and the ones you want to focus on, like I know right now I'm going into a season where I have to be the educator. I have to focus on education. My child's going through a pivotal point of going from elementary to middle school, essentially, where the rigor changes, and I have to enforce the fact that school is going to be your only obligation. So that's my role right now. She understands that, and we're to continue to push the rock. In a different season, I might be back to disciplinarian, or I might be, Alexia's number one supporter in her extracurricular activities, or her passions. It changes, but as long as I communicate it with her and she understands it, that is fruition from all my work from the beginning, coming into true fruition of knowing my role. I know my role, and now my child knows my role.
Yeah, I think me being a teacher, there's some things that you kind of have to understand when you're trying to take care of children, if not, just a mass of children at the same time. Like, you kind of have to establish some type of routine with your child and understand that here are the rules and regulations, here are your routines and procedures. Let's try to get that together. And then, of course, like, if that does not work out, you have to monitor and adjust your actions and like your plans with your child in order to get to a successful outcome with your child. So, I understand where you're coming from, because it's like I see this all the time in classrooms, and I think just to kind of like wrap this all up, like, you kind of have to know, like, what is your role? What do you want to be? Because I was watching this short film about this father and this daughter, and this daughter is like writing a note to her father, and they're just walking down the park and they're just chilling out, and he's taking her to school and everything, and what she says in the letter is like, my dad is an awesome father, he's a hero in my life, he's the greatest inspiration, he's a support, however, he lies.
Yeah.
And it goes into a deeper thing of like, he lies about his job, he lies about where he goes, he lies about this, and he lies about that. But the whole thing about it is that, like, yeah, it's kind of like a metaphor as like guys are treated in this manner of like, you know, like we're looked at as like bad, like not bad people, but like we're looked at as like bad influence to our kid, because it's just like we're trying our best to be something more than what we can be. You know, we're trying to go above and beyond, but it's just like sometimes in life we stumble across these obstacles that may be possible or slightly impossible to achieve, and you know, we have to overcome those barriers. And so going back to my question is, what is your role? What do you want to be?
These are questions for the audience.
This is a question for the audience. So to wrap this whole thing up, like I said, what is your role? Do you want to be the ghost father? Do you want to be the active father but not involved with the mother? Or do you want to be an active father who is involved with the mother? It's all up to you.
Yeah. Know your role. Make a choice. The role is always constantly developing. But if you don't have foundation in something, then it's going to be, it can change and it can tumble and it can break at any time. So
yeah,
figure that out. When you were talking, I was thinking about Lupe Fiasco. He Say, She Say.
Go ahead.
It's one of
tell us.
The greatest songs. It's looking at the three dimensions of a family. You know, looking at situations from the aspect of a child, aspect of a mother, and aspect of the father. So if you get a chance, Food and Liquor, He Say, She Say, Lupe Fiasco. It's a great song.
He Say, She Say?
Yes.
Okay.
Great song. We just had the 13-year anniversary of Food and Liquor. It's a great album. It's one of the classics. Oh, yeah. Lupe's close. I'll say in my top 20.
Oh, he's in my top 10.
It's iffy. Lupe can't be in top 10 if you didn't listen to the last album.
I did listen to the last album.
Okay.
So with that being said, just a couple things for food for thought. Just think about those questions. What role are you, and you know, which category do you fall under? But typically, I mean, did you have any other comments that you want to say before we close this whole thing out?
Let us know your thoughts. Let us know which role that you've gone down. Let us know the fears that you have of going down certain roads.
Exactly.
Like, a lot of these roads are not easy challenges.
Right.
No one's saying it's something that you come up with overnight, but let's talk about it. Follow us on all social mediums at Stay DADicated. That's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook,
Don't
YouTube.
hesitate, guys. Don't hesitate whatsoever.
Yeah. Catch us in the comments. Leave the discussions and spread the word about it. So that's all we have for today. So look out for further episodes. You can follow us on our personal mediums. I can be found at Just a Fiasco.
And you can find me at Zach Ammons, one word. Zach Ammons. ZACHAMMONS. Zach Ammons on any social media platform. But other than that, guys, thank you guys for listening to our show. And we'll catch you next time. Until then,
stay dedicated.